Special Operations Combat Assault Rifle, or SCAR program, was a project designed from the start to replace the M4 carbine, the Mark 12, Mark 18, Mark 11, Mark 14, and M203 grenade launcher in special operations use today. It was designed to be adaptable and modular right from the beginning rather than after the fact once the weapon's been fielded. FN won the SCAR down select to their merit, and here's a special guest on Tactical Arms is my friend Clint Lynch from FN Manufacturing in Columbia, South Carolina. What's your perspective on how the SCAR program has developed from 4 years ago till today?
The gun has gone through quite a number of iterations based on operator feedback and testing. And what you see here, these two weapons represent pretty much the latest generation of the weapon.
Well, Clint, as I understand it, initially the SCAR Light was kind of the feature product in the line, and the SCAR Heavy was kind of an accessory to it, but that's now reversed based on reports from the field on how popular and how successful the SCAR Heavy's been. Is that the way you understand it?
That's pretty much been our perception as well. The SCAR Light certainly gives certain capabilities that aren't available now, but primarily the SCAR Heavy has taken the lead in terms of it offers lightweight modularity and a 7.62 platform that wasn't available prior to this.
And no doubt, I mean, what's kind of popular now is guys will take M14s to the best of their ability, accessorize them, make them more adaptable for overseas, but we've got 40 years of guys using M16s and now M4s, and that is a much more M4-like gun than the M14 could ever hope to be.
That's right. The feature layout of the weapon system is very similar to the M4. One thing, as you mentioned, the ability to change the barrel length and also to mount a grenade launcher, which you don't have with the Mark 14.
Now, I'm a big FNFAL fan. I own several of them. And what I think is very interesting is the fact that the SCAR Heavy actually uses a modified FAL mag. Can you talk us through that?
Absolutely. The envelope is very similar, but some things had to change. When the FAL was developed, the M118 LR cartridge did not exist at the time, and as you know, it's slightly longer in length than the M80 cartridge. The magazine itself had to change internally, and obviously the feed lip geometry had to be modified to work with the SCAR's bolt. And last but not least, of course, it has the notch cut out to allow the M4 style magazine catch and release.
So some of the fanboys on the internet that say they're going to buy a bunch of FAL mags and modify them when the semi-auto SCAR Heavy hits the market, they're kind of smoking crack, aren't they?
Good luck. That's right. It would take a good bit of technical expertise and a lot of time to do that. So really, economically, I don't think it's going to pay off.
Not very feasible.
No.
Quentin, you and I both know that the reciprocating charging handle and its location has been one of the most controversial features on this weapon due to the fact that we've had generations of soldiers used to the T-handle charging handle of the M16. Could you give us your 2 cents on that subject?
Sure thing. Well, one thing I really like about the reciprocating charging handle is the simplicity and obviously the speed and weapons manipulation. One thing you'll notice also, the weapon can be manipulated with a support hand. You can lock the bolt to the rear, etc. You can also use it as a very fast way to reload the weapon when you insert a fresh magazine. And as you've seen earlier, you don't have to take your face off the weapon to manipulate the charging handle.
So what, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of muscle memory with the current setup on the M4, but once guys understand what this is all about and they train to it, they can make it work.
Absolutely.
This is the SCAR Heavy in 7.62 NATO, the full auto bigger brother of the SCAR Light in 5.56 that we featured on last season in Tactical Arms. It features over 75% parts commonality with that gun, which is unique in the firearms industry today. At 7.9 pounds unloaded, the SCAR Heavy is relatively light compared to other 7.62 NATO battle rifles and has a little bit more felt recoil, but really not unmanageable. It has some of the same key design features as the SCAR Light, such as a 6-position adjustable buttstock, a buttstock that also folds to the side, a reversible charging handle can be mounted on the right or the left, and folding sights. And most importantly, it brings to the battlefield for the U.S. soldier a first in 7.62 NATO battle rifles, modularity. You have the ability, because of the Picatinny rail interfaces, to mount optics, lights, and lasers like never before. I've shot and used nearly every 7.62 battle rifle in the world today, and I've also carried the M14. If I had a choice, I would definitely look hard for SCAR Heavy. The fact of the matter is it handles real well. It's much like a standard M4, but a little bit heavier. The felt recoil is certainly very manageable, and the modularity and the familiarity of the controls make this gun a winner. It's easy to see why early reports from the field from special operations soldiers give this gun a big thumbs up. Okay, there's no denying the SCAR is absolutely badass. I mean, hell's bells, just look at it. I'll be the first one to tell you, when this thing comes on the market in 7.62 in the semi-automatic version, I'll have one in my pile. And it's part of the reason why last year, when the first 200 SCAR lights hit the market, they went for thousands of dollars on Gunbroker. Yeah, I do have a tough job here shooting SCAR Heavies all day on the range, and I appreciate the sympathy coming over the camera, I really do. I'll spot for you with the 8x32s. Let's bring down some hate. Okay, we've already showed you the SCAR Heavy. Now I want to show you the SSR, the Sniper Support Rifle variant. To help us out with it is my good buddy Monty LeClaire. He's a West Coast Navy SEAL with 16 years on the teams. He's the brain power behind Centurion Arms and made the Mark 12 SPR we had on last season of Tactical Arms. And I'm going to state it right now, probably with some hate mail from the fans, most dialed in SEAL I've ever met when it comes to small arms. Monty, what's your take on the rifle you're holding?
Actually, like you said, this is a further progression of the SCAR Heavy into SSR variant as a replacement or as a designated marksman with the 7.62 cartridge, and it's newly designated the Mark 20 Mod 0, and actually it's a outstanding weapon system. We've been really happy with the way it's developed. In fact, if you want to head up to Burma, let's do some shooting with it.
You got it, bro. Let's do it. Okay, anybody who watches this show knows two things. One, we always have top-notch equipment, and number two, we always have top-notch optics. This year's no exception. What we're using as a laser rangefinder this year is the compact Swarovski laser rangefinder, kick-ass piece of equipment, and the 8x32 EL. These caught my eye at the 2010 SHOT Show based on the desert tan color. With our activities overseas, these are a perfect fit. Okay, and on the SSR, we've got a Night Force scope. I'm gonna let Monty take you through that one.
What we have here on this particular rifle is a 5.5 to 22 with a 50mm objective. This is a basic scope, Navy common scope that the teams are using across all their weapons as far as the 7.62 semi-automatic rifles and the 300 Win Mag. We also use a smaller Night Force as well, 2.5 to 10 for our Mark 12 variants. But what we have here today has the zero stops on it, so that no matter what, you can come back down to your 0 point and never get lost as far as in your rotations where you are. And it has the hollow mill dots for more accurate ranging, as well as so far in all of our operations with this scope overseas, it's proven itself to be very robust and very reliable scope. We've been very happy with it operationally.
Okay, initial reports from the field in Afghanistan is guys are taking this variant of the SCAR Heavy, putting an optic on it and using it kind of as a designated marksman rifle. My buddy Monty was in on the early testing of the SCAR as a sniper rifle, and I want him to share his thoughts on the subject with you.
That's correct, Larry. I was one of the shooters during the initial testing when we were taking the standard battle rifles and putting optics on them to assess them as designated marksman and sniper support weapons, and to get the feedback from the snipers so that we could grow this into something that would be able to fit the designated marksman role. We saw a lot of potential in the weapon system. It was extremely reliable. We were getting good accuracy out of the battlefield thing, and what we wanted to do is do some enhancements to squeak that last bit of accuracy out that snipers need in the field to get the job done the way they need to. Some of the stuff that we came up with for feedback was making sure that we had enough rail space out in front of the optics so that we could use our adjunct thermal and night vision. We maintain the same rails as on the battle rifle to use our adjunct lasers and stuff, as well as an enhanced trigger module to allow us to get the last bit of accuracy out of the weapon system, and an enhanced stock as well to help the ergonomics and the comfort of the shooter while he's using the rifle.
You realize, Monty, we're kind of revisiting history here, because if you go back in history, look at the FAL, the G3, the M14, there's always been efforts to try to stick a scope on it and call it a sniper rifle, but they find out real quick that a standard issue battle rifle with an optic on it doesn't necessarily mean it's a sniper rifle. You have to have refinements along the way so the gun is easier to shoot, has better accuracy, and has a better trigger. So a lot of what you're doing here is kind of history revisited. Now, question I have for you is, plan for that gun is, it once it's matured, is to replace the Mark 11 in service? Is that correct?
For the Special Operations Committee, yes it is, because it would allow us to have the logistical train that has a lot of parts commonality with our standard heavy and light weapon systems, as well as the ergonomic, same feel and operation. So the manual of arms and the use of the weapon will be exactly the same as the common service stuff for us.
So in theory, this gun truly could, if fielded and adopted, could be the beginning of the end for the Stoner M16 AR-10 family as we know it today.
That's absolutely true, and that's the goal.
Okay, Monty, it's time to get shooting. We'll fire right from this berm. I'm gonna go ahead and laze for you with the Swarovskis. It's 408 to those steel torso-sized targets down there. I'll spot for you with the 8x32s. Let's bring down some hate. Okay, Monty, you see there's 5 pieces of steel downrange? Why don't you go left to right and then right to left, total of 10 shots. Fast you can.
Roger.
Okay, whenever you're ready, got you covered. Hit. 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 Good shooting, bro. Well done. Now you realize 10 shots with a 5-shot bolt gun, you'd have had to top off and reload again to get ready for action. So a semi-auto gives you a big advantage in terms of firepower.
It absolutely does. It allows you to gauge multiple targets with faster follow-up shots. Definitely has its place on the battlefield.
Excellent. Now, many people will point out that the Russians or the Soviets prior to that had the SVD fielded for a number of decades as a designated marksman's rifle, and that's a valid point. However, the United States has had the edge in precise sniper fire with bolt-action sniper rifles in the Marine Corps and the U.S. Army, and now with weapons like the SSR, we've went way beyond where the Russians could ever hope to go. 5.56 versus 7.62. We'll see how it shakes. Okay, we've shown you how the SCAR Heavy performs in the field, and now it's time to break it down and take you through the inside of this gun. First thing as always, make sure you clear it out, magazine out. Visually inspect the chamber. Here's your front takedown pin. Pulls out, trigger mechanism slides forward, drops off. Now you can take off your buttstock. Bolt carrier, push out the recoil spring assembly. Charging handle comes back to your disassembly notch. Pull it out. Now the bolt carrier can come all the way out to the rear. It has an AR-18 or a system adapted from the G36 that it got from the AR-18. Push out your takedown pin. Your firearm pin comes out. No firearm pin spring in the military model. Cam pin comes out, and your multi-lug rotating bolt. That's the essence of field stripping the gun. Take the gas system down farther than that. You really don't have to for normal maintenance. A few key things about the SCAR Heavy. 1-piece extruded aluminum upper receiver. Magazine adapted from the FNFAL magazine. Charging handle taken from the FNC, similar in design. Bolt is taken largely from the HK-G36. Trigger mechanism is adapted from the FNC, which itself was adapted from the M1 Garand. Although it's a little bit different than the M4 carbine in terms of detailed disassembly, really it's overall very simple, very straightforward design. Monty, when I see a weapon like this with a short barrel, I see a weapon useful for CQB, helos, vehicles, other areas where space is at a premium and you're willing to give up a little bit of performance.
And conversely, when I see a weapon like the Mark-17, Larry, I see more of an open terrain weapon for longer ranges, longer distances. Finally, we have a lightweight 7.62 in the system that's compatible with all the optics, flashlights, and foregrips that have become modular with all of our other weapon systems.
You know, and interestingly enough, for the first time ever, you can turn that weapon into more of a confined space weapon. Less than 2 minutes, swap the barrel out, put in a 13-inch barrel, and you have a weapon you can do CQB with if necessary, but at the cost of some of the downrange terminal performance of 7.62.
Good point, Larry. I've been fortunate enough to be able to get a lot of rounds downrange with this weapon system. I like it. The more I shoot it, the more I like it. I've been able to get a lot of confidence built up in this weapon system. The only one thing I'm not 100% sure on is the utility of the side folding stock for myself.
Like any weapon, there's always going to be one or two things you really don't dig on. For me, it's the iron sights, in particularly the fully hooded front sight. When it's up, it interferes with a red dot like on this Aimpoint Micro, which is going to cause soldiers to have it folded down. And when they come up and their red dot isn't on, now they're going to be fumbling to try to fold the sights up. To me, that's a no-go. I would have done it different if I'd have been in charge.
For the first time, Larry, we have a family of weapon systems that allows the operator to engage targets from arm's length to 800 meters, spanning across the SCAR Light, SCAR Heavy, and the SSR weapon system.
Absolutely right, Monty. Good point. And when you throw in the parts commonality,